Hi, everybody. It's Linda G. I just finished with Mel, and this will be our last little show before he goes in for surgery. He talked to them today and they didn't have him down. So, he's like me. Oh, hell no. He went through all the pre-ops and everything and blood work, and they're going to say, oh, well, we didn't get the release from the doctor, whatever. So now he's going to be having his surgery on Friday. So I know we'll all be wishing him well. I'll probably do prayers today, a little later today. But I wanted to tell you guys, okay, so the July 3rd, I don't know why, but I just woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, couldn't go back to sleep. Maybe something's in the air. And then yesterday, some kids, you could tell because I could hear them talking and laughing, were setting off these huge fireworks that went up in the air. They were actually pretty, but they were doing it in the school in front of my house because I face a huge yard that, where all the kids go to play, or they'd have soccer matches there and stuff. So it was going off, and Jack really had a hard time with it. He was really upset, but not as upset as he was with the earthquake. He shook with the earthquake. So we were going along, and finally, a little after 10, they were still going. And then I'd had enough. And you know how cray Linda is. Can you see me with my hair sticking straight up, with my flip-flops? Had this big robe, went out there with my police flashlight, and I was panning it. I was like, enough! I was done. So then I go back in the house, and then somebody set off, not as big of ones, but close. So I was like, here we go. So I called 911 and it won't go through. So they were probably overwhelmed with calls. And I'm trying to think what to do, because in all the years I've lived here, 7 years, that's the first time they had the GoNets to go into a private. That's private. This is a, what do you call school? It's not a public school. And set off these things. And there was little flames every time they set it up. I think next time I'll call the fire department. But also, I was even thinking I'd be willing to hire a guard just to sit there through most of the night to make sure nobody goes in there and sets off. So I'm going to talk to the school, the chief of police, and we need to come up with something. Because as a nurse, I worked in the emergency room at a big county facility. And let me tell you, if you saw what happens with fireworks, it's bad. It takes off parts of your body, and it can cause terrible fires. If one of those things had reversed and gone the wrong way, could have gone right on my roof, and that's it for my home, So I have to take a stand, but I'm not quite sure what. So enough of that. I need to tell you though, so last night, thinking about 4th of July, I did watch CNN's 4th of July in Washington, D.C., and Joe Biden was there, and I saw Hunter Biden behind him, and I thought, oh God, people are going to go cray. Oh my God. A son is with his father at 4th of July. Can you believe that? So this is, and then they did, I want you to know the hit I got on that packet of cocaine in the library that they found. That is not Hunter Biden's. That was planted there. That's the hit I got. But they're going to test it. They're going to find out. I'm sure they'll get some sort of print. If they don't get any print, then that tells you something too. They set it up so you wouldn't find a print. Okay, so, I mean, if it was Hunter Biden, I'd tell you, but it's not. He's clean and sober right now, no matter what you want to think. Okay, but he's not in the administration, and that is the president's son. So get over it. Okay, poor Don Jr. looks bad. Did you guys see that? Oh, he's done these videos and he's doing the thing like this, like crazy. I heard him and his girlfriend broke up. I don't know if that's true. I don't really care. But, I really feel bad for him. I know he's mean and he's like his dad, but I hope he gets help, because his eyes are all swollen. And anyway, so, okay, so enough about that. I want to talk to you guys about tapping into some of our forefathers, because last night, out of the blue, I started thinking about John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington. And when I started thinking about John Adams, I sort of went into a mediumship role because I could feel him. I could sense his presence. Now he's taken a couple other bodies. I don't think I've ever read on this president. John Adams, the second president of the United States. He was a Scorpio. He was born October 30th of 1735. And he died on the 4th of July, 1826, the same day as Thomas Jefferson. So I'm kind of looking at him energetically. And I could tell he's taken other bodies. But when he's talking to me, he's wanting me to realize, these are hits that I got, that all this chaos and nonsense that we're going through now was as troubling, if not more, in his time. Because he says you're always going to have the ugly. Just know that. But as you fight for your democracy, it gets stronger. So he just sort of wanted me to tell everybody that this too shall pass. He was not, Thomas Jefferson, by the way, who came in briefly, I didn't pick him up as strongly. Thomas Jefferson turned on his friend. He was actually talking trash behind his back. I don't know where I heard this from or what, but he loved Thomas Jefferson. And then when his wife Abigail died, he was very sad and wrote to Thomas Jefferson. And then they began to write amongst each other till they both died. But he always fancied Thomas Jefferson and George Washington as orators. Like, he never thought of himself to be, he was always trying to prove himself to be somebody. That's what I got, okay? That's what I got. He adored his wife, Abigail. By the way, they are soulmates. They're together. And he was talking about Thomas. So I had to look it up. Thomas was his son that he sort of disowned because the son was, we have those in our family, kind of a con man and a drunk. He died, I think, of alcoholism. He was pretty young. And he wanted us to know, this is what he said to me, that Thomas is very well. I'm very proud of him because, he was so overwhelmingly proud of John Quincy Adams, the 6th president of the United States, which was his son. He just said he couldn't be prouder. But he was extremely proud of Thomas, who in other, they got back together somehow in some other life, but has proven himself to be a grand person. So his soul energy is intact. That's what he wants us to know. Because Nabby's there, his daughter that died from breast cancer, a lot of grandchildren. They're a family. They're like all together again. Thomas Jefferson and him aren't really hanging together, even though they both died at the same time. But Thomas Jefferson had more to pay for. By that, I mean energetically, karmically. He had more he had to do. So Thomas Jefferson's energy, John Adams feels a little bit, and being a Scorp, he probably was pretty intense, and he could be slighted. He had a hard time with being slighted. But Thomas Jefferson seems more laid back. And John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both lived in other countries for a while. John Adams was in Paris, I think, and Thomas Jefferson was in London. Anyway, and he did have affairs with his slaves. Thomas Jefferson brought slaves, as well as George Washington brought slaves into their administration. And John Adams was very upset. This is what I hear. I thought John Adams brought slaves, but apparently there was already slaves that worked at the White House, because when he went to the White House, it was still being built. And John Adams says we cannot be a democracy and have slaves. It doesn't make any sense. And that was back what, in the 1700s. And the other thing is, I might have seen this on something with his John Adams history, but apparently when they did the Declaration of Independence, which a lot of the wording was from Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, they weren't all together sitting around a table doing it. They were coming in piece by piece because they were all in different countries and stuff. John Adams said that Benjamin Franklin was a cad, and Benjamin Franklin's soul energy is not very strong, you guys. He was a genius, but there was a lot of things about him that were a little underhanded. That's according to them, okay? George Washington, he was 6'2". Did you guys see that on Truth Social? Trump has himself in the uniform like he's George Washington. It's like George Washington was a soldier, sir. You were not, Mr. Bonespurs. But anyway, entertainment purposes only. So George Washington, I like the energy from him. He really wanted democracy. He didn't play politics. He was the one that said, no, I will only do 2 terms. I don't want to be, because see, John Adams wanted George Washington to take on His Majesty or honorable, and that pissed George Washington off. He said no, because remember, John Adams was his vice president. No, we'll have no such conversation. He wanted it to be a democracy, self-independent. And so, but at that time, you guys, these people, as you know, the White House was built by slaves. They knew no other. They didn't know anything else. Thomas Jefferson seems, and when I look at him, he feels more of a romantic, whereas John Adams feels like a family man, but he loved Abigail. That there was a real, I don't see Thomas Jefferson really loving somebody. And George Washington feels like he loved his wife, but it's very powerful with John Adams and Abigail. But he kept saying Thomas made it. Thomas is doing really well. And John Adams was a little bit jealous of Thomas Jefferson, is what I'm getting. Thomas Jefferson backstabbed him, by the way. But there was a jealousy that they've gone through other lives right now, so they're not holding. But I'm just telling you, I was picking up, it's weird. So I'm sort of thinking about the people who signed in Hamilton and all of them, Burr, all of them. And I was kind of looking at this picture and I was feeling John Adams coming through. And he was saying, basically, they weren't all together. It was piece by piece by piece. So John Adams was quite intense. I really enjoyed connecting with him. I really enjoyed him saying that this too shall pass. I've told you guys this till I'm blue in the face. George Washington is real. I think he's here on Earth right now. I can't tell you what he was or who he is, but energetically, he feels like he works within the United States as different entities. It might even be as Obama or something. That's the strength that I see. Very smart man, George Washington. So was John Adams. So, okay. Because him and Abigail got married and she was had a baby 9 months later. That seemed to happen a lot back in them days. Okay. So I told you guys about Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and John Adams. And John Adams really wants you guys to know that it was worse back in those days, but they were building a constitution and a democracy. And people were fighting left and right. And then France started acting like they were going to come after us. And then, King George and all that stuff that took place. But the most important thing was to maintain a democracy. We weren't going to say, there was a couple of times we could have gone to war again. And for some reason, France said to us, pay us $10 million and we'll think about not invading you. So, John Adams handled it. I'm telling you, he just would not let anybody try to take over our United States of America. And don't forget, France owned a bunch of land here. I don't know who all. Everybody had a little piece of the pie. So the other person that I was looking at was, and he's come to me before, was Abraham Lincoln. And I got to tell you what I got, because I don't know, might have been something on YouTube, but apparently she lost all her sons, which was just horrible. And she went into some house and pulled up the shades and never was really out there. And I felt bad because her eldest son tried to have her committed. By the way, when Lincoln died, I think I was looking at that house that Lincoln died in. They were saying some history. People were, because she was so distraught, she wasn't paying attention, and people were going in there and taking pieces, souvenirs from her house, her jewelry, everything. So then she finally gets out, because she laid in bed for 40 days in the White House. So then she had told somebody before he won the second term, God help us, that I hope he wins, because she was doing some underhanded stuff, sort of like Trump, selling things, selling ability to speak with the president, to have an audience with the president. She would whisper in his ear about certain people, and they would pay her, because she would go through money like crazy. She used the whole budget the White House had given her to upgrade the White House. She used the whole budget like within 2 weeks. So Lincoln was furious. And then somehow or the other, the Congress said, never mind, we'll take care of it. So somehow or the other, she was making money under the table. Okay. And it was it's very shocking, the stuff she was doing. It's almost like what's happening with the Trump administration, but she was the first lady. I don't know how Abraham went without knowing that this was going on, but I think the son found out, the eldest son. And I think she was going so crazy that he said, let's just put her in an institution. He took all the letters she had written to Abraham and to her youngest children and burned them. Now, why would you do something like that? Why would you burn the letters that your mother wrote? So he was really angry at her. There's no anger there anymore, by the way. But Abraham Lincoln's not with her. She went energetically into a different part, a different realm. But there was love there. But she just, it was hard for her to love because it was always about her, those times. So I just wanted you guys to know about this stuff. I also want to look at the, everybody's writing me about the nuke situation in the dam. Okay, so thank you guys. There was a bunch of other presidents trying to come through. So what I'll do later is just start taking notes because I see John, I see Robert again. They always like to come through, give their 2 bits. Tell us about the dam with the nukes. And I just did Mel's video. By the way, we got to pray for Mel. His surgery is Friday. And when I was looking at it, I felt like some sort of black ops or somebody was coming into where this dam was. And I saw them disengaging a lot of this stuff. So I'm not quite sure what that's about, but will it actually go off? I was feeling no, but let's double check. Happy 4th of July, you guys. See, I got my red on. I wanted to get up and do a video with you guys yesterday, but I was exhausted. Even Mel, we were supposed to do something. We just couldn't get it done. And today's Wednesday. Holy cow. Garbage night. Ukraine's going to be okay. But look at this. Some sort of action, there's some stuff getting ready to come up. I think Putin's going to do something to Ukraine. Remember, I've always seen these little hits and these things that cause some devastation, but magic will occur. Magic will take place. And agreements with other nations. The thing is, okay, let me tell you what I just got. Putin knows. See, he's already announced that the Ukraine has planted these things and they're planning on setting them off. He's totally lying. He's trying to set the Ukraine up. And so, and Zelensky keeps saying it because he's nervous about it, and I don't blame him. But I'm almost feeling like underground black ops. I don't know if it's the US or somebody else coming in and somehow or the other being able to disengage this, stop it from happening. What do you want me to tell everybody? We are. Okay. Some high energy forms are watching over this, including terrestrials, ETs. They will not let this occur. Okay, so I got to be comfortable telling you, I'm feeling like they're going to be able to stave it off. And don't forget, I keep seeing Putin running. I'm sorry it's taking years to happen, but I keep seeing him running. People are after him. So let's look at that Mr. P, the one who's in Belarus. Anyway, starts with a B. And he's setting up his men right now. So what's that for? Is that for Putin or something else? Mr. P. Probably do prayers today too. Get that out of the way. Mr. P. Mr. P. What are you doing, sir? Okay, just got a hit. I get that he's nervous about Putin. I feel like he doesn't trust Putin. I feel like but he loves Russia. Let's look. They were at the crossroads about something. Fortune's fate. Mother Russia. This is the world is looking and we're celebrating. So raking in your just rewards. I would say this means he's working with not Putin, somebody else. Maybe the guy that runs the country he's at now. But I feel they're talking, whispering behind closed doors on maybe taking Putin out or trying to overtake Russia. Because remember when we saw Russia, with Putin go down, felt like another military takes it, and then they have an actual voting thing happening. FYI, just putting it out there. I got to go with those hits that I get like that. So I worried because he was redoing it, because those people will die for him, and they're brutal. But in a way, I feel like they're not trusting Putin. They're feeling like Putin will look for an opportunity to take them out. And he didn't get rid of those generals that had hit them. You know, that was all sanctioned by Putin. I don't care what they say. Okay. Okay, so I want to take a look-see at what the guides want to tell us for the coming. Well, this is going to be a short video, not very long. What do you guys want to tell us for the coming week? Feels like everybody's like on holiday or vacation until the beginning of next week. So Jack, what's going on with Jack? Let's look at Jack first. Tell me about Jack. Justice is a coming, you guys. Picking up the pieces off the battlefield. Bada bing, bada boom. Somebody's not feeling well. We may have somebody in office that may go down. Natural causes, nothing terrible. He's looking at money. He's looking at Donald Trump's money right now, too. So there's no explosion, but it's fortune's fate. So there's, and I think this is that judge. 10 of Pentacles means a lot of good news coming at us, you guys. All kinds of information. 8 of Wands, even by August, it's going to get pretty heavy. I think we've discussed this before. I don't want to keep discussing the same thing over and over. But Jack Smith, I feel him kind of like, he's always working, but I feel him a little bit quieter until next week. Now, let me look at, let's look at Donald Trump coming up this next week. Tell me about Donald Trump. Anything we should know about him? Rudy Giuliani. I'm feeling suffocation with Rudy Giuliani, so I don't know what the heck that is. Jim Jordan is feeling bad too. I've been telling you there's some stuff coming up with Jim Jordan. I'm just sensing this negative, but let me take a look at Trump. He's counting money. He's counting money, but he's looking for exits out. He's trying to, he's asking for people to hurt Jack Smith as plain as day, and yet nobody takes him down. That's what amazes me. He's doing a wait and see. Now he's the one with the tower with his cups upside down. He's got some physical issues. I'm telling you right now, he's not doing very well. And I would say even by September, he's desperately trying to get money. Money is flowing out, maybe with all these attorneys he's paying. But something is getting ready to happen. Now, it doesn't affect Jack Smith where he's upset. So it must be good because Jack Smith had all kinds of good news. So yeah. He's got to look out for his health. There will be about some news about someone, being hospitalized or something. I wonder if it's Trump. Okay, now, entertainment purposes only. I want to look at Lindsey Graham real quick. You can tell he's really drinking the alcohol hard. He wanted to be somebody, and I feel he's really messed up. Even Trump tried to be nice about him, when people were booing him, and nobody will hear of it. They just don't like him. His communication is upside down. He's looking at the world thinking, maybe I should just get the hell out of here. I don't know when he ends as being senator. He's not well, you guys. He's not well. I feel him like even in his office, just being quiet. He wanted to be somebody, and he turned on his friend McCain. He turns on Biden, who he was supposed to love. So he's looking at his world. He's trying to make a decision what he's done. His communication is upside down. News is coming to him that won't be that great. He has family members on the other side that are around him and are feeling bad for him. So I would say there's sorrow here. 8 of Swords too. There's some sort of like he's not well or something. He's stuck. I see Trump trying to tell him, oh, buddy, you'll be okay. But he's not okay, guys. He's just like Giuliani. Let's take a look at Giuliani real quick. Then I'll let you guys go. I know Giuliani is drinking like a fish. So apparently Lynn Wood has offered not to practice as an attorney anymore, rather than have his law license revoked. They step on these people, just they throw flowers at them and do scented candles. All these people, anybody else would have been slapped in jail, but all these people, and like Mel said, had a Democrat done any of this, oh, they would be looking for it. Would be terrible. How many trials with Benghazi did we do? They just got to find something and they'll keep going. Let's look at Giuliani. Then I'm going to do Jim Jordan. Sorry, I told you I'd be done, but just bear with me. Yeah, Giuliani's not doing good, you guys. His magic is upside down. Jesus, he's got the same tower. He's trying to get away from the drama. He went into Jack Smith and tried to offer up something, but it's like a nothing burger. I'm almost feeling he was very disappointed in whatever meeting he had with them, because I think they got everything they need from Meadows. So he's looking for an exit out. And he's broke as hell. And I don't see Trump picking up the phone for him. Now, just out of curiosity, Jim Jordan is just falling apart. And he's never passed any kind of bill since he's been in office. Tell me about Jim Jordan. And they couldn't come up with anything in Biden. They sat up there and lied. We have a witness. We did, and nothing happened. There wasn't nothing for her. Tell me about. Really weird. I get this image of him shrinking, like he's shrinking in how tall he is and everything. He's shrinking. And I guess Marjorie Taylor Greene, who really is another nothing burger, made a comment about the Ukraine being Nazis. What a horrible thing to say. So yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. Jim Jordan is like, he's stuck. He can't seem to move forward. Everything he thought he was going to be able to handle, things are coming down what they can't do anything about. They are fortune's fate. Look at this. There is some battles coming up and there's nothing they can do. Information. Stuff is coming up. Oh, it's cold outside, you guys. Can you believe it? 100 and something in Texas, but it's cold. God bless Texas, you guys. God bless them. When I do prayers in a few minutes, we'll look at Texas and put some cool air all around them, because I know what it's like to be in that heat. Phoenix was 118, I think, yesterday. So anyway, I would say sooner than later. And then, I'm supposed to be on Andre's show probably tomorrow. Sooner or later, they're going to have some big events taking place. Some battles or some information that's going to have everybody running. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And, I just got a hit on, what's his name? McCarthy. Like her saying that about the Ukraine, what she said. I feel like McCarthy is like disgusted with her right now. And there's nothing he could do because he already signed a contract with the beast. Because I see Trump mad at McCarthy that he's not doing enough. You guys, everybody says, well, is he going to go to jail too? I see McCarthy really was not part of this January 6th. I could be wrong. But I see, if you recall, he was calling Meadows and trying to get a hold of the president and was swearing at them to please stop this. Please tell him to knock it off. And he just wouldn't do it. So he was furious. So as you see, Meadows went right in and gave himself a deal. But I don't see McCarthy as part of that. Now, did you guys hear about, what's his name? Hawes, who took the Missouri, Holly, Josh Hawley. His wife is the attorney that got that fake gay rights thing going, that they were fighting for 7 years, and it wasn't even for real. The guy that she was using as the example is straight and has a kid, and he was shocked that his name was being used. No, they won't be able to pull it out of the Supreme Court, because I feel his wife will be in trouble for this. They will get her on falsifying or not being truthful with the Supreme Court. But I do see this overturned later on. I just want you guys to know that. So don't lay up at night worried about it. All this stuff will be overturned. I see something coming up with interest rates for the student loans that Biden is on it right now. Trust me on this. And things will get turned around. Trump actually really, honest God, thinks he's going to win as president. He's not, but he thinks he is. He's so delusional. Like he put himself into George Washington, like he's a soldier. This is bone spurs. He's never served a day in the military ever. So, okay, you guys, so I'm going to let you go. I got other things to do, and I'm going to try to do prayers today. And I love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.